Don't flirt with me in this dress again.
Oh, but you like it.
Don't walk past me in that dress again. That's what Ramiro Lucius said to me in the hallway. A warning I thought was a joke until I was in a car that wasn't taking me home, sitting across from a man whose eyes promised I just made the worst mistake of my life. My name is Maria Spencer. I'm 27, chronically invisible, and I've spent my entire life avoiding attention. But when my best friend made me wear a red dress to her engagement party, when I walked past the wrong man at the wrong time, everything changed. Because Ramiro Lucius doesn't make empty threats. And now I belong to him. This is the story of how a single dress and one reckless decision landed me in the center of a mafia war. How fear became something more dangerous than terror, and how I fell in love with the man who kidnapped me to save my life. Before we dive into Maria's story, you need to subscribe right now, because what happens when you accidentally catch a mafia boss's attention while wearing a dress that breaks all his rules is the kind of dangerous, intense romance that will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about kidnapping, consent, and falling for someone who terrifies and protects you in equal measure. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this story has danger at every turn, a captor who becomes something more, and a love that survives even when survival seems impossible. Let's begin. When danger finds the invisible woman. I've always been forgettable. Not in a self-pitying way, just factually. I'm the woman people don't notice in elevators, the one waiters skip over when taking orders, the friend who gets talked over in group conversations without anyone realizing they're doing it. Maria Spencer, 27, works in data entry at an insurance company, lives alone in a studio apartment in Queens, has exactly 3 friends and a cat named Hemingway who tolerates me on good days. I'm okay with being invisible. Invisible is safe. Invisible means no drama, no danger, no complications. Until the night Isabella, my best friend since college, got engaged to some finance guy and insisted I come to the party at his family's estate. You never go out, she'd said. You're coming, and you're wearing this. She'd thrust a garment bag at me containing a dress I would never in a million years have bought for myself. Red, backless, cut low enough to make me nervous. The kind of dress designed to get noticed. I should have said no. Should have worn my usual black sheath that let me blend into walls. Should have stayed home with Hemingway and a book. But Isabella gave me those puppy eyes, and I caved. So there I was at the Belmont estate, this massive mansion with marble everything, crystal chandeliers, and people who looked like they'd never worried about rent in their lives. Wearing a dress that felt like a costume and trying not to trip in heels Isabella had also forced on me. I made it through 3 hours of small talk with people who didn't actually see me even when they were looking at me. 8 tiny appetizers that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. Smiled and nodded and slowly suffocated under the weight of not belonging. I needed air. Needed to escape the crowd and the noise and the constant feeling of being an imposter in someone else's world. So I slipped away, down a hallway lined with oil paintings of stern-looking men, heading toward the French doors I'd seen earlier that led to a balcony. That's when he spoke. Don't walk past me in that dress again. His voice came from the shadows, deep, controlled, with an edge that made every survival instinct I'd sit up and take notice. I stopped, turned, found myself looking at a man I hadn't noticed in the shadows. And God, he was devastating. Tall, over 6 feet, with dark hair swept back, a jaw that looked carved from marble, and eyes so dark they were almost black. He wore a suit that probably cost more than my car, perfectly tailored to shoulders that suggested violence controlled by civilization. But it was his eyes that froze me. They looked at me like I was the only person in the world. Like he saw every thought in my head. Like he decided something about me without my input. I wasn't flirting. I stammered because that's clearly what he'd implied. I'm just trying to get to the balcony. I know. His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. I'm telling you not to walk past me again. Why? Because if you do, you won't make it to the balcony. It should have sounded like a joke. Instead, it sounded like a promise. A dangerous one. I should have asked his name. Should have demanded he explain himself. Should have done a lot of things that a braver, smarter woman would have done. Instead, I mumbled something about needing air and practically ran past him toward those French doors, my heart hammering so hard I could hear it over the string quartet playing somewhere behind me. I made it to the balcony, stood there in the cool night air, tried to convince myself I'd imagined the entire encounter, or at least misunderstood it. Men like that, dangerous, powerful, impossibly attractive, they don't notice women like me. Except when I finally calmed down enough to turn around, he was gone. And I told myself I'd never see him again. I was wrong. 2 hours later, Isabella's driver, a quiet man named Bernard who'd driven me there, took me home. Except the car didn't go to Queens. It went to an industrial area I didn't recognize, full of warehouses and empty streets. Bernard? This isn't. I'm sorry, Miss Spencer, he said, and he actually sounded sorry. But he insisted. The car stopped, and when the back door opened, Ramiro Lucius was sitting there, looking at me like he'd been expecting me all along. I warned you, he said. That's when I understood. The threat was real, and my life as I knew it was over. I should have known that nothing good would come from wearing a dress that made me visible. But Isabella had begged. Maria, you're 27 years old, and you dress like you're invisible on purpose. Just once, or something that makes people actually look at you. So here I was at the Belmont estate, wearing red silk that left my back bare and dipped low enough in the front that I kept checking to make sure I wasn't having a wardrobe malfunction, surrounded by people who belonged in this world of wealth and champagne towers while I belonged in my apartment with a book and my cat. The party was for Isabella's engagement to Jonathan, some finance guy whose family apparently owned half of Manhattan. The mansion was all marble floors and crystal chandeliers, the kind of place where I was afraid to touch anything because it probably cost more than I made in a year. I lasted 3 hours before I needed to escape. The balcony I'd spotted earlier seemed perfect. Fresh air, fewer people, a chance to breathe without feeling like an imposter. I slipped down a side, hallway lined with portraits of stern men who probably rolled over in their graves knowing someone like me was in their house. I was halfway to the French doors when his voice stopped me cold. Don't walk past me in that dress again. I froze, turned slowly. He was in the shadows, near one of the portraits. I genuinely hadn't seen him there. But once I did, I couldn't look away. Tall, dangerous, devastatingly handsome in a way that felt like a weapon. Dark hair, darker eyes, jaw like it had been carved from stone. A suit that fit him so perfectly it had to be custom, showing off shoulders that suggested control violence. Excuse me? My voice came out shakier than I wanted. He pushed off the wall, stepped into the light. God, he was even more overwhelming up close. I said, don't walk past me in that dress again. I'm not flirting with you. I stammered, face heating. I'm just trying to get to the balcony. I know. His lips curved into something that might have been a smile on someone less intimidating. I'm warning you anyway. Warning me of what? His eyes traveled over me, slow, thorough, like he was memorizing every detail. If you walk past me in that dress again, you won't make it to the balcony. The air between us felt charged. Dangerous. Are you threatening me? I'm stating a fact. He tilted his head slightly. You look like you don't belong here. I don't. I admitted before I could stop myself. Good. Then you'll understand when I tell you that walking around looking like that is a bad idea. Looking like what? Noticeable. The word hit differently than it should have. I'd spent my entire life being invisible. And this man, this dangerous, overwhelming man, was telling me I'd somehow become visible. I need air, I said because I didn't know what else to say. Then get it. But remember what I told you. I should have asked his name. Should have demanded he explain himself properly. Should have done literally anything except what I did, which was practically run past him toward those French doors, my heart hammering like I just escaped something. The balcony was empty, cool night air hitting my overheated skin. I stood there trying to process what had just happened. Men like that didn't notice women like me. Period. So either he was playing some kind of game, or I'd misunderstood completely, or you look like you're thinking very hard. I jumped, spinning around. But it wasn't him. It was Isabella, looking radiant and happy, and like she belonged in this world in a way I never would. "Are you okay?" she asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine. Just needed air." "Well, come back inside. Jonathan wants to introduce you to some people from his firm. They're always looking for good data analysts. Networking. The last thing I wanted." But Isabella gave me that hopeful look, so I followed her back inside. The man from the hallway was nowhere to be seen. I told myself I'd imagined how intense the encounter had been, that I'd build it up in my head because I wasn't used to men looking at me like that. By the time the party wound down and Isabella's driver Bernard offered to take me home, I'd almost convinced myself the whole thing had been nothing. Bernard was quiet, as always, opening the car door for me with a polite nod. I settled into the back seat, exhausted and ready to get out of this dress and back into my normal invisible life. But as we drove, I realized something was wrong. We weren't heading toward Queens. "Bernard? This isn't the right way." "I know, Miss Spencer." His voice was apologetic. "I'm very sorry." "Sorry for what?" "Where are we?" The car stopped. We were in some kind of industrial area, warehouses, empty streets, the kind of place you definitely didn't want to be at night. "Bernard, what's going on?" The back door opened, and there he was, the man from the hallway, sliding into the seat beside me like he'd been expected, like this had all been planned. "I warned you," he said calmly. I stared at him, my brain refusing to process what was happening. "What? How? You walked past me in that dress, after I explicitly told you not to." He settled back against the leather seat, looking completely at ease while I was on the verge of panic. "Ramiro Lucius, by the way, since you never asked. I don't understand what's happening." "I'm kidnapping you, Maria. Try to stay calm." "You're what?" "Kidnapping you. Bernard is going to drive us somewhere safe. You're going to come with me without making a scene. And in return, I won't let the very dangerous people who are currently looking for you find you." My mind was reeling. Dangerous people? What are you talking about? I'm a data analyst. I don't know any dangerous people. "You do now." Ramiro's expression didn't change. "You spent 3 hours at a party that was attended by some very powerful, very violent people. You were photographed near Marco Santini. And now multiple organizations think you're connected to him, which makes you a target. I don't even know who Marco Santini is. And that's exactly why you need my protection." Ramiro finally looked at me fully. "I know you're scared. I know this seems insane. But I watched 3 separate groups clocking you tonight, and 2 of them have already started asking questions about who you are. The only reason you're still alive is because I got to you first. This is insane. You're insane. I'm calling." He took my phone so fast I barely saw him move. "No calls. No contact with your old life. As of right now, Maria Spencer is missing. And she'll stay missing until I neutralize the threats. You can't just kidnap people." "I just did." Ramiro looked out the window as Bernard drove. "Don't worry. You'll understand soon enough." And sitting there in the back of that car, wearing a red dress that had somehow destroyed my entire life, I realized something terrifying. I'd walked past the wrong man, and now nothing would ever be the same. Okay, pause. Did Maria just get kidnapped by a mafia boss because she wore the wrong dress to the wrong party? Like, imagine going from "I'm invisible and safe" to "I'm in a car with a man who just casually said he's kidnapping me in 3 hours. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe now, because this story is about to get so much more intense. Drop a comment. Would you believe the "I'm protecting you" excuse, or assume you're about to die? Let me know. Let's continue. I don't remember most of the drive. My brain had shut down somewhere around "I'm kidnapping you" and refused to reboot. I sat pressed against the car door, as far from Ramiro Lucius as possible, watching streetlights blur past and trying to figure out if this was real or some kind of elaborate nightmare. "You're hyperventilating," Ramiro said calmly. "Breathe slower or you'll pass out." "Good. Maybe I'll wake up and this will be a dream." It's not a dream. He didn't even look at me, just stared out his own window, like kidnapping women was a Tuesday evening activity. And passing out won't help. You'll just wake up in the same situation with a headache. You can't just do this. People will look for me. Isabella will call the police. Isabella thinks you went home with Bernard, who's my employee, and will confirm he dropped you at your apartment. By the time anyone realizes you're missing, you'll be somewhere no one can find you. The casual efficiency of it made my skin crawl. How long have you been planning this? Since you walked into that party wearing that dress and immediately became a target. Ramiro finally looked at me. I spent 3 hours watching you be oblivious to the fact that at least 3 separate groups were photographing you, tracking your movements, and trying to figure out who you were. Why? I'm nobody. You were standing next to Marco Santini during the cocktail hour. You don't remember it, but a photographer caught you both in frame. Marco is currently at war with the Volkov Bratva and my own organization. Anyone associated with him is a target for leverage or elimination. But I'm not associated with him. I don't even know who he is. And that won't matter to the people hunting you. Ramiro's voice stayed level, like he was explaining something obvious. They'll assume you're connected. They'll take you, torture you for information you don't have, and kill you when you can't provide it. Or they'll use you to draw Marco out. Either way, you die. I felt like I might throw up. So your solution is to kidnap me first? My solution is to remove you from the board entirely. If you're missing, you're not a usable target. And if you're with me, you're under my protection, which is considerably better than being under Alexei Volkov's interrogation. Who's Alexei Volkov? Someone you never want to meet. The car turned onto a winding road, trees closing in on either side. We'd left the city entirely. Wherever we were going, it was remote. Where are we going? Safe house. One of several I maintain for situations exactly like this. Situations where you kidnap innocent women. Situations where I need to protect someone from my world. Ramiro's jaw tightened. I don't expect you to be grateful, Maria, but I do expect you to be smart enough to understand that I just saved your life. By ruining it. By extending it. There's a difference. The safe house appeared through the trees. A modern structure of glass and steel that looked like it belonged in an architecture magazine, not hidden in the middle of nowhere. Bernard parked in an underground garage. Ramiro got out, came around to my side, and opened the door. Out. What if I refuse? Then I'll carry you. Your choice. I got out because being carried like a sack of potatoes seemed like the final indignity in a night full of them. The interior was not what I expected. Luxurious, but not ostentatious. Clean lines, expensive furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking dark forest. It looked like a high-end rental property, not a prison. There are 3 bedrooms upstairs, Ramiro said, heading toward a sleek kitchen. Take whichever one you want. The bathrooms are stocked. There's food in the kitchen. Internet is available but monitored. Don't try to contact anyone. Or what? He finally looked at me, and something in his expression made me take a step back. Or you'll force me to take away privileges I'd rather you keep. Don't push me, Maria. I want to go home. No, you can't just keep me here. I can. I am. Ramiro pulled out his phone, started scrolling through messages. You'll understand eventually. Until then, make yourself comfortable. How long? As long as it takes. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. He looked up from his phone. The people hunting you are patient. They'll watch your apartment, your job, your friends. They'll wait for you to surface. My job is to make sure you never do until they've moved on or been eliminated. Eliminated? I repeated the word like it was foreign. You mean killed. I mean neutralized. How that happens depends on circumstances. I stared at this man who spoke about murder like it was a business decision. You're insane. This whole thing is insane. Probably. Ramiro's expression didn't change. But you're alive. Remember that when you're angry at me. He walked away, disappearing into what looked like an office, leaving me standing in a beautiful prison trying to figure out how my life had gone from boring and safe to whatever nightmare this was. I spent the first 2 hours testing every door, every window, every possible exit. All locked. Keypad entries I didn't have codes for. Windows that didn't open. Even the garage was secured with biometric scanners. I was trapped. Actually, truly trapped. The panic hit around midnight. I sat on the floor of the bedroom I'd claimed, back against the expensive bed I hadn't bothered to get into, and let myself cry. Not pretty tears, full body sobs of terror and frustration and overwhelming helplessness. I'd been invisible my whole life. Safe because no one noticed me. In one dress, one party, one accidental photograph had destroyed everything. I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually I heard footsteps outside my door. A soft knock. Maria. Ramiro's voice, quieter than before. I'm leaving water and food outside your door. You should eat. Go to hell. Silence. Then, I know you're scared. I know you think I'm a monster. But I'm a monster keeping other monsters away from you. Remember that. His footsteps retreated. I opened the door hours later when I was sure he was gone. Found a tray with water, sandwiches, fruit. He'd even included tea, the kind I liked, which meant he'd somehow known or guessed. The consideration for my kidnapper, somehow, made everything worse. I ate because I was starving, drank because I was dehydrated, and then I went to bed in a room that was nicer than my entire apartment, hating myself for noticing the comfort. Morning came with sunlight streaming through windows I couldn't open and the smell of coffee I hadn't made. I found Ramiro in the kitchen, looking like he'd slept in his clothes, making breakfast. You cook. He glanced up. I survive. There's a difference. Coffee. I should refuse. Should maintain some kind of resistance. But I was exhausted and terrified and my body overrode my pride. Yes. He poured me a cup, black, 2 sugars, exactly how I took it. I didn't ask how he knew. We need to establish some ground rules, Ramiro said, sliding a plate of eggs and toast toward me. Like I have any say in this. You have more say than you think. Seat. I sat, mostly because standing felt like too much effort. Rule 1, Ramiro continued, leaning against the counter. You don't leave this property. Not the house, not the grounds, not anywhere. The perimeter is monitored and guarded. If you try to run, you'll be stopped. Stop how? Gently if possible. Less gently if necessary. You mean your people will drag me back? I mean they'll keep you safe even from yourself. Ramiro sipped his own coffee. Rule 2, no outside contact. No phone calls, no emails, no messages. You're off the grid completely. For how long? Until the threat is eliminated. You keep saying that. What does it actually mean? Ramiro set down his coffee, studied me. It means until I've convinced the Volkov Bratva and the Santini family that you're not worth their time. That you're dead, disappeared, or irrelevant. Whichever story they'll believe. And how long does that take? Weeks. Maybe months. My stomach dropped. Months. I'm not letting you die because you're impatient, Maria. You'll stay here as long as necessary. You can't just keep me like a pet. I'm keeping you like someone whose life I value. His expression didn't change. I know you don't see the difference right now, but you will. The first week was hell. I spent most of it in my room, refusing to engage, refusing to pretend this was anything except imprisonment. Ramiro left food outside my door 3 times a day. Occasionally, I'd hear him on phone calls in Italian or Russian, his voice sharp and commanding. At night, I'd hear him pacing. Sometimes I'd see him through my window, standing on the deck, overlooking the forest, just staring into the darkness like he was waiting for something. On day 8, boredom drove me downstairs. I found Ramiro in the living room, surrounded by architectural drawings. What are those? I asked before I could stop myself. He looked up, surprised I was speaking to him. Building designs. A project I'm consulting on. Consulting? I moved closer despite myself. I thought you were a crime boss. I am. I'm also a licensed architect. One doesn't preclude the other. I stared at the drawings, beautiful, complex designs for what looked like a museum. You actually design buildings? When I have time, which isn't often. Ramiro's expression softened slightly. I wanted to be an architect, before everything else. What happened? My father happened. He set down his pencil. He decided I needed to take over the family business. And in my family, that's not a suggestion. So you gave up architecture? I gave up everything. Architecture, normalcy, choice. Ramiro looked at me. You think I want this life? You think I enjoy being the person people fear? Then leave. And go where? Do what? I've been the head of this family since I was 25. There's no retirement plan, Maria. You leave in a body bag or you die running. The bitterness in his voice was so raw it caught me off guard. That's horrible. That's reality. My reality. And now, temporarily yours. We stared at each other, and for the first time, I saw past the crime boss to the man underneath. A man who was just as trapped as I was, just in a different kind of cage. So real talk. Is Ramiro actually protecting Maria or just justifying his control over her? Option A, protecting. The threats are real and he's keeping her alive. Option B, controlling. He's using fear to manipulate her. Option C, both. And that's what makes it complicated. Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're somehow not subscribed yet, fix that now, because chapters 3 to 8 are going to break you emotionally. 3 weeks in captivity, and I developed a routine I hated myself for enjoying. Mornings, Ramiro made coffee. We ate breakfast in tense silence. I pretended I wasn't grateful for the company. Days, I read books from his extensive library, architecture, history, fiction. He worked from the house, taking calls that sounded important and intimidating in languages I didn't understand. Evenings, we ended up in the same room, neither quite willing to acknowledge we were seeking each other out. It was domestic in the most twisted way possible. You speak 4 languages, I observed one night. We were in the living room, me on the couch with a book, him at the desk with paperwork. 5. Italian, Russian, Spanish, English, and enough Mandarin to negotiate. Is that normal for crime bosses? It's necessary when you deal internationally. Ramiro signed something, set it aside. Languages are power. The more you understand, the less you can be deceived. Must be exhausting, never being able to trust anyone. It is. He looked at me. But it keeps people alive. You mean it keeps you alive? I mean it keeps everyone in my organization alive, including currently you. I hated that he was right. Do you ever regret it? This life. Ramiro was quiet for a long moment. Every day. Then why? Because walking away means dying. Or worse, watching everyone connected to me die. He stood, moved to the windows. My father built this empire over 30 years. Made enemies, forged alliances, established rules. When he died, I inherited all of it. The power, the territory, and the people who want to destroy both. How old were you? 25. He died of a heart attack in the middle of a negotiation. Very dramatic. Very inconvenient. The dry tone didn't quite hide the pain underneath. Were you close? No. My father was not a man you got close to. He was a force of nature you survived, or you didn't. Ramiro's reflection in the window looked haunted. He spent my childhood preparing me to take over, teaching me to fight, to negotiate, to kill when necessary. By the time I was 15, I'd watch him eliminate 3 rivals and torture information out of people who betrayed him. I felt sick. That's horrifying? Yes, but effective. Ramiro turned to face me. When I was 15, he put a gun in my hand and told me to shoot a man who'd stolen from us. I refused, so my father shot the man himself, then beat me unconscious for showing weakness. Jesus. The next time he gave me that order, I didn't refuse, because I'd learned that refusing meant someone died anyway, and then I got punished for it. At least if I pulled the trigger myself, only one person suffered. The casual way he described it made it worse somehow. How many people have you killed? More than I can remember. Fewer than my father. Ramiro moved back to his desk. I don't enjoy it, if that's what you're asking. It's just necessary. Part of maintaining power and protecting what's mine. That's a horrible way to live. It's the only way I know. That conversation shifted something between us. I started seeing Ramiro as more than my captor. He was complicated, capable of extreme violence, but also quiet evenings reading architecture books. He ordered people around with absolute authority, but made sure I had everything I needed. He'd built walls so high even he couldn't see over them, but occasionally he let me peek through the cracks. One night, I found him on the deck at 2 a.m., unable to sleep. "Nightmares?" I asked. He glanced at me, surprised. "You should be in bed." "So should you. But here we are." I leaned against the railing beside him. "What do you dream about?" "Things I've done. Things done to me. The usual." Ramiro's voice was flat. "You get used to it." "Do you?" "Get used to it." "No. But you learn to function anyway." We stood in comfortable silence, watching darkness press against the tree line. "My mother would have liked you," Ramiro said suddenly. "Your mother? She died when I was 12. Car accident. At least that's what the police report said. My father knew better. His enemies wanted to hurt him, so they killed her. I am sorry." "Don't be. It was 27 years ago." But his voice suggested it was yesterday. "She was an architect too. That's where I got it from. She used to show me her designs, explain how buildings could tell stories, how you could create beauty from raw materials. Is that why you still design?" "It's the only part of me that's still her. Still before all of this." Ramiro looked at me. "You remind me of her sometimes." "Ow, you're stronger than you look." She was like that. Everyone underestimated her because she was quiet, but she was steel underneath. "I'm not strong. I'm just surviving." "That's what strength is, Maria. Surviving things that should break you." The way he said my name, like it was something precious, made my chest tight. "You're not what I expected," I admitted. "What did you expect? A monster. Someone who'd hurt me, or worse." "I'm still a monster. Just not to you." Ramiro turned to face me fully. "But don't mistake this, what's happening between us, for anything other than proximity and circumstance. In another world, you'd never look at me twice. You don't know that. You don't. Because in another world, I'd never let you see enough to look." The dreams started the 4th week. Nightmares of gunfire and men in masks and Ramiro covered in blood. I'd wake up gasping, reality and fear blurring together. One particularly bad night, I woke up screaming. Ramiro was in my room within seconds, weapon drawn, scanning for threats. "What happened? Are you hurt?" "Dream," I gasped. "Just a dream. I am sorry." He holstered his weapon, sat on the edge of my bed. "Hey, look at me. You're safe. You're here, with me, and you're safe. I dreamed the Russians found us. That I couldn't finish. They won't. I promise." Ramiro's hand found mine. "I've protected this location for years. No one knows about it, except my most trusted people." "How can you be sure?" "Because I'm paranoid enough to prepare for everything." His thumb traced circles on my hand, unconscious, soothing. "You're safe, Maria. I won't let anything happen to you. Why do you care so much?" "I am nobody. Just some woman who was in the wrong place." "You're not nobody." Ramiro's intensity was back. "And you're someone who doesn't deserve to die because of my world's violence. But you've let other people die. You said so yourself. People who chose this life. People who knew the risks." His hand tightened on mine. "You didn't choose anything. You're innocent. That matters to me." "Why?" "Because there's so little innocence left in my world. And I'll be damned if I let mine destroy yours." He stayed until I fell asleep, his hand still holding mine, and I pretended not to notice how good it felt to not be alone. Week 5 brought a new problem. I was falling for my kidnapper. I knew it was textbook Stockholm Syndrome. I knew I should fight it. I knew every rational part of my brain was screaming that this was wrong. But when Ramiro looked at me, I didn't feel invisible anymore. When he made sure I ate, asked about my day, listened to me talk about the books I was reading, I felt seen in a way I never had before. When he stood between me and danger, real or imagined, I felt protected. And when he smiled, which was rare but devastating, I felt wanted. "This is insane," I told myself in the mirror. "You're falling for the man who kidnapped you. That's literally the definition of Stockholm Syndrome." But my reflection just stared back, unconvinced. Because maybe it was Stockholm Syndrome. Or maybe it was recognizing someone as broken as I was. Someone who understood what it meant to be trapped in a life you never chose. Someone who saw me, really saw me for the first time ever. I'd almost forgotten we were in danger. 6 weeks in the safe house had created a strange bubble of normalcy. Ramiro still worked, still took calls in various languages, still had that edge of danger. But with me, he was almost normal. We'd fall into a routine that felt domestic. Breakfast together, me reading while he worked, evenings on the deck talking about everything and nothing. I knew it was false security. Knew that beyond these walls, people were still hunting. But it was easy to forget when Ramiro was teaching me Italian curse words or explaining why certain architectural styles worked better than others. Too easy, which is why I wasn't prepared when it shattered. It was 3 a.m. when the gunfire woke me. Not close, distant pops that my city-trained brain initially processed as fireworks. But then I heard shouting in Russian and alarms started blaring and I understood. They'd found us. My door slammed open. Ramiro was there in tactical gear. I'd never seen him wear weapon in hand. Get up. Now. Don't ask questions. I scrambled out of bed, barely awake. What's happening? Russians. At least 8 of them. They breached the perimeter. Ramiro grabbed my arm, pulled me toward the door. Stay behind me. Move fast. Don't stop. We ran through the house. I could hear gunfire getting closer. Men shouting in Russian. The sound of firefight. How did they find us? Don't know. Doesn't matter. Ramiro shoved me into a closet under the stairs. Stay here. Do not come out until I come back for you. Where are you going? To end this. His expression was cold, lethal. The man I'd been eating breakfast with was gone, replaced by the crime boss who'd killed enough people to stop counting. Maria, look at me. No matter what you hear, you stay here. Understand? I nodded, terror overwhelming everything else. Ramiro kissed my forehead, quick, desperate, and then he was gone. I crouched in the darkness, listening to my safe world explode. The gunfight lasted maybe 10 minutes. It felt like hours. I heard Ramiro's voice, shouting orders in Italian. More gunfire. Men screaming. The sounds of combat I'd only ever heard in movies, now terrifyingly real on the other side of a door I couldn't open from the inside. Then silence. Horrible, suffocating silence. I waited, my heart hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. Then the closet door opened. Ramiro stood there covered in blood. Not bleeding, just covered. His shirt was soaked, his hands were red, his face was splattered with arterial spray. Are you hurt? I asked, my voice shaking. Not my blood. He pulled me out gently. We need to leave. Now. This location is compromised. The living room looked like a war zone. Bodies, at least 5 of them, scattered across the floor. Bullet holes in the walls. Shattered glass everywhere. I couldn't look away from the bodies. Maria. Ramiro's hand on my face, forcing me to look at him instead. Don't look at them. Look at me. We need to move. You killed them all. Yes. There's so much blood. I know. I'm sorry you had to see this. He was already guiding me toward the garage. But this is my world. This is what I protect you from. A black SUV was waiting, engine running. Wesley, Ramiro's second-in-command I'd met once, was behind the wheel. 3 vehicles incoming, Wesley reported. ETA 4 minutes. We need to go. Ramiro shoved me into the back seat, climbed in beside me. Wesley peeled out before the door was even closed. How did they find us? Ramiro demanded. Tracking device on Bernard's car. Bastards must have placed it months ago, waited to activate it. Wesley swerved around a curve. They've been patient. That's Alexei's style. Patient and brutal. Ramiro pulled out his phone, started making calls in rapid Italian. Where's the next safe house? The one in Millbrook. 2 hours north. Is it compromised? Not that I know of. Then that's not good enough. Ramiro cursed. I need somewhere they won't think to look. I sat in the back seat, my mind still processing the violence I just witnessed. Ramiro had killed 5 men in less than 10 minutes. No hesitation. No remorse. Just brutal, efficient execution. And he'd done it to protect me. The new safe house was less mansion, more fortified bunker. Underground parking, reinforced walls, the kind of security that suggested paranoia, had built it. This is one of 3 locations only I know about, Ramiro explained as we descended into what looked like a bunker. Even Wesley doesn't have the full address. We're off the grid completely. For how long? Until I can figure out how the hell Alexei is tracking us. Ramiro's fury was barely contained. He shouldn't have found the other location. No one except my most trusted people knew about it. Maybe you have them all. Maybe I do. And when I find them, they'll die screaming. The casual violence should have terrified me. Instead, I just felt exhausted. You're hurt, I said, noticing he was favoring his left shoulder. It's nothing. You're bleeding through your shirt. That's not nothing. Ramiro looked down, noticed the spreading stain with apparent surprise. Huh, must have caught a bullet. Didn't feel it. You got shot and didn't feel it? Adrenaline. It'll hurt later. He started stripping off his blood-soaked shirt. First aid kit is in the bathroom. Can you handle stitches? I what? No. Then I'll do it myself. Won't be the first time. I followed him to the bathroom, watched him clean the wound. A bullet had grazed his shoulder, deep enough to need stitches, but not life-threatening. Let me, I said, surprising myself. You don't have to. You saved my life. Multiple times. Let me do this. Ramiro studied me, then handed over the supplies. I'd never stitched human flesh before. My hand shook, but Ramiro talked me through it, his voice calm despite the fact that I was literally sewing his skin together without anesthesia. Why aren't you screaming? I asked. Pain is relative. This is nothing compared to what I've survived. That's horrible. That's life. You watch me work. You're good at this. I'm terrified I'm hurting you. You are, but you're also helping. There's a difference. When I finished, my hand was shaking badly. Ramiro caught them, held them steady. Thank you. You shouldn't have to thank me for basic human decency. In my world, basic human decency is a luxury. Ramiro's eyes met mine. You could have let me bleed. Could have let me handle it myself. But you helped. That means something. You killed 5 men tonight to protect me. That means something too. Does it frighten you? What I'm capable of? I thought about it honestly. It should. But all I can think about is that you stood between me and them. That you didn't hesitate. I never hesitate when it comes to protecting what's mine. I'm not yours. Aren't you? Ramiro's hand came up, cupped my face. 6 weeks living together. 6 weeks of me seeing you every day, talking to you, learning you. 6 weeks of you seeing past the monster to whatever's left underneath. Tell me you don't feel it too. Feel what? This. He leaned closer, and I could smell blood and gunpowder, and underneath it, something that was purely him. This connection that shouldn't exist, but does anyway. That's Stockholm Syndrome. I'm supposed to feel connected to you. You control my entire life. Then tell me to stop. His lips were inches from mine. Tell me this is only captivity and fear. Tell me you don't want this. I should have. Should have pushed him away. Should have maintained boundaries. Instead, I closed the distance and kissed him. It was desperate and inevitable and completely insane. But I'd watched him kill to protect me, watched him take a bullet without flinching, watched him show me sides of himself no one else saw. And somewhere in all of that, I'd stopped seeing him as my captor. I'd started seeing him as mine. We barely made it to the bedroom. Clothes peeled away between kisses that tasted like need and danger and something I couldn't name. Ramiro's hands were careful despite the desperation, always checking, always making sure I wanted this. Maria. His voice was rough. Tell me to stop. Don't you dare. This is insane. You know that. I don't care. You should. I'm still the man who kidnapped you. You're also the man who's kept me alive. The man who lets me see who you actually are. I pulled him closer. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. You don't know what you're choosing. Then show me. What followed was intense and tender and desperate all at once. Ramiro was careful with me, almost reverent, like I was something precious he was terrified of breaking. And when it was over, lying in his arms in a bunker underneath who knows where, I felt something I hadn't felt in 6 weeks. Safe. Not because of the security or the locks or the distance from danger. Because of him. Morning came with regret written all over Ramiro's face. I shouldn't have done that. I sat up, pulling the sheet around me. I'm not a victim here. I wanted it too. You're under my control. You can't consent freely when I have all the power. Stop telling me what I can and can't feel. I was angry now. I'm not some helpless woman you've brainwashed. Yes, you kidnapped me. Yes, the circumstances are fucked up. But last night, that was my choice. Was it? Or are you just trying to survive? Why can't it be both? I demanded. Why can't I want to survive and want you? Ramiro stared at me, conflict written across his face. You should hate me. Maybe, but I don't. I moved closer. I should be terrified. I should want nothing more than to escape. But when those Russians attacked, all I could think about was whether you'd survive. That's not Stockholm Syndrome talking. That's me actually caring about you. This won't end well. Maybe not, but it's already started. Ramiro pulled me close, and we stayed like that for a long time, two people who shouldn't work, but somehow did anyway. Outside, danger was still hunting. But in that moment, wrapped in each other, we were safe. Wait, did Maria just catch feelings for the man who kidnapped her after watching him kill 5 people? And did they just, okay, this is getting complicated. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that button because the next phase is going to absolutely destroy you emotionally. Drop a comment. Is this love or survival instinct? Let me know. 2 months in captivity, and I'd stop counting days. Not because I'd given up hope of freedom, but because freedom had started to feel like a concept from another life. A life where I was invisible and safe and profoundly alone. This life, dangerous, complicated, built on circumstances I never chose. At least I wasn't invisible anymore. Ramiro saw me. Every part of me. The morning routine had shifted after that night. We'd wake up tangled together, neither quite willing to acknowledge what was happening between us. He'd make coffee while I watched, and we'd eat breakfast like this was normal, like I wasn't still technically his prisoner. You're staring, Ramiro said one morning, not looking up from his phone. I'm observing. What's the difference? Observation is analytical. Staring is creepy. That earned me an almost smile. And what are you analyzing? You. How you can look so normal making eggs when I know you killed someone last week. 3 people. But who's counting? Ramiro finally looked at me. Does it bother you? It should. Normal people would be horrified. But you're not. I thought about it honestly. I'm horrified at the violence. At the fact that people died. But I'm not horrified at you. Because I know you didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. Is there? You said yourself. You leave. Everyone you care about dies. You stay, you have to do things that destroy you from the inside. That's not really a choice. Ramiro set down his coffee, studied me with that intensity that always made my breath catch. How are you real? What? How are you this person who sees past the monster to whatever's left underneath? Who watches me kill and doesn't run? Who? He stopped himself. Who what? Who makes me want to be better than I am? The admission hung between us. You are better than you think, I said quietly. I'm really not. You just haven't seen enough yet. That afternoon, Wesley came to the safe house. I'd only met him a handful of times, but he was always professional, always careful around me. Like he wasn't quite sure what I was to Ramiro. We have a problem, Wesley said without preamble. Ramiro's entire demeanor shifted. Talk. Alexei knows she's alive. More than that, he knows she matters to you. My stomach dropped. Ow! Surveillance from the attack. They filmed the whole thing. Saw you running, saw Ramiro protecting you, saw... Wesley hesitated. Saw enough to understand you're not just a hostage. Ramiro's expression went cold. Show me. Wesley pulled out a tablet, played a video. I watched myself from an external camera angle, running from the safe house, Ramiro's arm around me, his body shielding mine. The way he looked at me was unmistakable, like I mattered more than anything. Shit, Ramiro said quietly. It gets worse. Alexei sent this. Wesley pulled up another video. This one was Alexei himself, older, cold-eyed, speaking directly to the camera in accented English. Ramiro Lucius, I see you found something worth protecting. How noble. How foolish. The girl is now worth more to me alive than dead. I wonder, how much of your empire would you trade to keep her breathing? We'll find out soon. The video ended. He's going to use me to control you, I said. He's going to try. Ramiro stood, started pacing. Wesley, I need options. We go dark, completely off-grid. No one except me and 2 guards know the location. He found us last time, because we didn't know about the tracking device. This time, we're more careful. New vehicles, new routes, new protocols. Or, Ramiro stopped pacing, looked at me. I sent her away. Far away. New identity, new life, protection, but distance. No, I said immediately. Maria. I said no. I stood to face him. You think sending me away keeps me safe? Alexei just made it clear I'm a target whether I'm with you or not. At least here, I have you protecting me. If you're away from me, you're not valuable to him. If I'm away from you, I'm alone. Vulnerable. An easy target he can grab to draw you out. I move closer. I'm safer with you. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly. You're the one letting fear make decisions. Ramiro's jaw tightened. This isn't fear. It's strategy. It's both. And I get it. You don't want me hurt because of you. But Ramiro, I'm already in this. I've been since the moment you put me in that car. Sending me away doesn't change that. It just means I'm in danger without you. Wesley cleared his throat. For what it's worth, boss, she's right. Alexei's committed now. Distance won't protect her. Your proximity will. Ramiro looked between us, clearly hating that we were right. Fine, we stay together. But security triples. And Maria, his eyes found mine. You don't leave my sight. Ever. Understand. Understood. That night, I found Ramiro on the small balcony the bunker somehow had, staring at nothing. You're brooding. I'm thinking. About how to keep me alive. About how I destroyed your life. Ramiro didn't look at me. 2 months ago, you were safe. Invisible. Living a quiet life that no one threatened. Now you're a target of one of the most violent men in the eastern seaboard. Trapped in a bunker, completely dependent on me for survival. I was also alone. Profoundly alone. Going through life without anyone actually seeing me. And that's better than this? Than constant danger. I thought about my old life. The apartment where I'd spend weekends alone. The job where I was interchangeable with any other data analyst. The friends who'd forget to invite me to things because I was easy to overlook. The danger terrifies me, I admitted. But the being seen, the matching to someone, that's worth more than safe invisibility. You matter too much to me. Ramiro finally looked at me, and the vulnerability in his expression was shocking. That's the problem. I can't be objective anymore. Can't make strategic decisions because every choice is filtered through what keeps Maria safe. Is that so bad? In my world? Yes. Caring about someone is the ultimate weakness. It gives enemies leverage. It makes you hesitate when you should act. It gets people killed. Then why do it? Why not just send me away and go back to being untouchable? Ramiro's hand came up, cupped my face. Because I tried. For 2 months, I tried to keep distance, to see you as just an obligation. But every day, I learned something new about you. Every conversation made me want more. And that night after the attack, when I thought I might lose you, his voice cracked slightly. I realized I'd rather burn my entire empire down than lose you. That's insane. Completely. He pulled me closer. But I've spent my whole life being alone. Being feared. Being the monster everyone expects. And then you showed up in that red dress and looked at me like I was just a man. Not the Lucius heir. Not the crime boss. Just Ramiro. You were just Ramiro. To me. To you. That's why this is dangerous. Because everyone else knows I'm a monster. And they'll use you to hurt him. Then we make sure they can't. Ramiro kissed me. Desperate. Intense. Like he was trying to memorize me. And I kissed back with equal desperation. Because somewhere in this nightmare, I'd fallen completely in love with my kidnapper. Which was probably the most dangerous thing of all. The next few weeks existed in a strange bubble. Ramiro barely slept, constantly monitoring security, tracking Alexei's movements. Wesley came and went with updates, each one more concerning than the last. But in between the danger, there were moments of normalcy that felt stolen. Cooking together, Ramiro teaching me Italian, reading beside each other in comfortable silence. One night, Ramiro showed me his architectural sketches. This was my thesis project, he said, spreading out elaborate drawings of a museum. Never got to build it. My father died 2 weeks before I was supposed to present. It's beautiful. It was going to be my way out. I was going to finish school, establish myself as an architect, distance myself from the family business. Ramiro's finger traced one of the lines. But then he died, and suddenly I was the head of the family. 25 years old, completely unprepared, surrounded by people twice my age who were testing whether I was strong enough to lead. What did you do? I proved I was strong enough. Violently. His expression darkened. I executed 3 people in my first month. 2 were testing me, trying to take power. 1 was a traitor. I made sure everyone understood that I was my father's son, ruthless, strategic, willing to do whatever was necessary. But you're not your father. I'm exactly my father. I just hide it better. Ramiro looked at me. You see what you want to see, Maria. The man who makes you coffee and reads architecture books. But I'm also the man who's killed more people than you want to know about. Who's ordered hits, orchestrated violence, destroyed lives. I know. I'm not naive about what you are. I took his hand. But you're also the man who saved me. Who protects me. Who looks at me like I matter. Both things can be true. They shouldn't be. But they are. And I'm choosing to love you anyway. The words escaped before I could stop them. Ramiro froze. What? I love you. I know I shouldn't. I know it's probably Stockholm Syndrome or trauma bonding or whatever psychological term applies. But I do. I love you. Maria. You don't have to say it back. I just needed to say it out loud. Because tomorrow or next week or whenever Alexei finds us again, I might not get another chance. And I wanted you to know that in all of this, the kidnapping and the danger and the impossible circumstances, I found something real. Ramiro pulled me into his arms, held me so tightly I could barely breathe. I love you too. God help me, I do. And it's the most terrifying thing I've ever felt. More terrifying than the people trying to kill you? Infinitely. Because them I can fight. This I can't control. Can't strategize. Can't protect us from. Then don't. Just feel it. We stayed like that for a long time. 2 people who shouldn't work, but somehow did, holding each other against a world determined to tear us apart. 3 months since that party. 3 months since my life ended and began simultaneously. I woke to Ramiro already awake, watching me with an expression I couldn't read. What? I asked, still groggy. Wesley called. The situation with Alexei has shifted. I sat up, suddenly alert. Shifted how? The Santini family brokered a truce. Marco Santini is dead. Internal coup. And his successor wants peace. That eliminates half the threat against you. My heart leapt. Does that mean? It means you're no longer a target of the Santini organization. But Alexei, Ramiro's expression darkened. Alexei has made this personal. He's not hunting you for strategic reasons anymore. He's hunting you to hurt me. So nothing's changed. Everything's changed. Before, I was protecting you from collateral damage. Now I'm protecting you from targeted revenge. Ramiro took my hand. Wesley thinks, and I'm inclined to agree, that the best way to keep you safe is to remove you from the equation entirely. Remove me how? New identity. New life. Far from here. Far from me. Far from anyone who knows you were ever Maria Spencer. Ramiro's voice was carefully controlled. I have resources. I can set you up anywhere in the world. Give you enough money to never worry. Make sure you're completely off the grid. You want to send me away. I want you alive. And as long as you're with me, you're a target. I felt something crack in my chest. When did you decide this? I've been considering it for weeks. The call this morning just confirmed it's the right move. Ramiro wouldn't look at me. You never chose this life, Maria. You were dragged into it. This is your chance to get out. What if I don't want out? Then you're not thinking clearly. Stop telling me what I am or am not thinking. I pull my hand away. I'm an adult. I'm capable of making my own decisions. And I'm choosing to stay. You're choosing danger, constant fear, a life where you can't have friends or family or anything normal. I'm choosing you. I was shouting now. Yes, the danger is real. Yes, this life is insane. But I love you, and sending me away doesn't change that. It just means I'll be miserable somewhere else. You'll be alive somewhere else. That's what matters. To who? To you. I got out of bed, started pacing. Is this about my safety or about your guilt? Both. Ramiro finally showed emotion. I can't watch you die because of me, Maria. I can't. Every day, I wonder if today's the day Alexei finds us. If today's the day I fail to protect you. If today's the day I have to watch you suffer because you made the mistake of being photographed near the wrong person. So you'd rather lose me to safety than to violence? Yes. 1,000 times yes. Because at least if you're safe, you're alive. You have a chance at normal, at happiness, at everything I can't give you. You're giving me everything. You're giving me a life where I matter, where I'm seen, where I wake up every day with someone who loves me despite all the reasons he shouldn't. That's not enough. It is for me. We stared at each other, both breathing hard, both breaking. I'm letting you go, Ramiro said quietly. The arrangements are already in place. Tomorrow, Wesley will take you to the airport. You'll fly to Vancouver under a new name. There's an apartment waiting, money in an account, everything you need. I won't go. You don't have a choice. You said you loved me. Was that a lie? Of course it wasn't a lie. Ramiro crossed to me, grabbed my shoulders. I love you more than I thought I was capable of loving anyone. That's why I'm doing this. Because love means wanting what's best for you even when it destroys me. Best for me is staying with you. Best for you is alive, Maria. And I can't guarantee that if you stay. We didn't speak the rest of the day. I stayed in the bedroom, tried to process the fact that the man I loved was sending me away for my own good. That he was choosing my safety over his happiness. Over our happiness. Part of me understood. Knew he was right, that as long as I was with him, I was in danger. But the larger part, the part that had spent 27 years being invisible and alone, couldn't accept it. I finally found someone who saw me, who chose me, who loved me despite impossible circumstances. And he was sending me away. That night, Ramiro came to the bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed. I know you hate me right now. I don't hate you. I hate the situation. I hate that loving you means this. I'm sorry. For all of it. For taking you that night. For dragging you into my world. For making you love someone who can only hurt you. You didn't make me love you. I chose that. Just like I'm choosing to stay. Maria, tomorrow, when Wesley comes, I'll tell him I won't go. You can't force me onto that plane. I can. Physically, I can make you go. You could, but you won't. Because that would destroy whatever we have left. Ramiro was quiet for a long time. You're right. I won't force you. But I'm begging you. Please go. Please take the out I'm offering. Please choose life over this. I'm choosing both. Life with you. You can't have both. Then I choose you. Ramiro pulled me close, and I felt wetness on my hair. He was crying. This man who I'd never seen show weakness was breaking down. I can't lose you, he whispered. Then don't send me away. I can't keep you either. Not safely. We held each other through the night. Two people loving each other enough to be willing to destroy that love for safety. And in the morning, when Wesley came with the tickets and the new passport, I made my decision. I left. Not because I wanted to, but because I loved Ramiro enough to give him peace. Even if it meant breaking both our hearts. 3 days in Vancouver. 3 days of pretending to be someone named Emily Carson, living in an apartment that was beautiful and cold and completely wrong. 3 days of waking up alone and remembering why I'd left. I tried to be okay with it. Tried to embrace the freedom, the safety, the normal life Ramiro had given me. But normal felt like suffocating. Safe felt like dying slowly. And freedom, without him, was just a different kind of prison. On the fourth day, I was making coffee when my phone rang. Not my new phone, my old one, that I'd kept despite Wesley's instructions to destroy it. Unknown number. Hello. Maria Spencer. The voice was accented. Russian. Cold. Or should I say Emily Carson? Such a lovely new name. Shame it won't keep you safe. My blood went cold. Who is this? Alexei Volkov. I believe we have a mutual friend. Ramiro Lucius? The man who thinks hiding you in Canada protects you. How did you find you? Please. Your coffee habit betrayed you. Every morning, same cafe, same order. My people have been watching for 3 days. Very predictable, Maria. I looked around the apartment, suddenly feeling exposed. What do you want? Simple. You come back to Chicago. Voluntarily. And I use you to make Ramiro understand what happens when people defy me. I'm not going anywhere with you. Then I come to you. And I kill everyone in that cafe you like so much until you agree. Your choice. You have 1 hour to decide. The line went dead. I stood frozen for maybe 30 seconds before my body overrode my mind. I grabbed my things, shoved them in a bag, and ran. Not to hide, to go back. Because if Alexei found me, he'd use me against Ramiro. And if I was going to be used, I wanted to be where I could fight back. Where Ramiro could protect both of us. I wanted to go home. Even if home was a bunker with a man who'd sent me away. The flight back to Chicago took 5 hours. I spent every second expecting Alexei's people to grab me at the airport. Instead, I made it through security, got a cab, and gave the driver the address of one of Ramiro's safe houses. Not the bunker, but another location Wesley had mentioned once. The house was in a wealthy suburb, completely normal from the outside. I rang the doorbell, half expecting no one to answer. Wesley opened the door, weapon drawn. Maria? What the hell are you doing here? Alexei found me. He called, threatened to kill people if I didn't come back. So I came back. Wesley pulled me inside quickly, scanning the street before closing the door. Does Ramiro know? No. And please don't tell him until I. Tell me what? I turned. Ramiro stood in the doorway, looking like he hadn't slept since I left. His expression cycled through shock, hope, and fury in rapid succession. What are you doing here? Alexei found me. He knew everything. My new name, my address, even my coffee order. He said he'd kill innocent people if I didn't come back. Ramiro's expression went absolutely murderous. How did he stop? The phone. You kept your old phone. I couldn't throw it away. It had pictures, contacts. It had a tracker I didn't know about. Ramiro's fists clenched. God damn it, Maria. I sent you away to protect you. And Alexei found me anyway. At least here, I have you. There, I was alone and vulnerable. You were safe. I was miserable. 3 days, Ramiro. I lasted 3 days before I realized safe without you is just slow death. Wesley cleared his throat. Boss, we have bigger problems. If Alexei called her, he knows she left Vancouver, which means he knows she came back, which means the windows exploded inward. I screamed as glass showered the room. Ramiro grabbed me, shielding my body with his as gunfire erupted from multiple directions. Basement. Now, Wesley was already returning fire. Ramiro dragged me toward a door I hadn't noticed, practically threw me down the stairs into a reinforced basement. Wesley followed, slamming the heavy door shut. How many? Ramiro demanded. At least 15. Full tactical gear. They're not here to negotiate. They're here for her. Ramiro looked at me with something like devastation. This is what I tried to prevent. Then let's make sure it was worth it. I grabbed a weapon from the rack on the wall. I'd learned enough about guns in 3 months to at least hold one correctly. Maria, no. I'm not hiding while you die, protecting me. We fight together or not at all. The siege lasted 30 minutes. Alexei's people tried to breach the basement 3 times. Each time, Ramiro's superior positioning and Wesley's tactical expertise drove them back. But we were outnumbered and running out of ammunition. We need backup, Wesley said, reloading. I called in everyone. They're 20 minutes out. We don't have 20 minutes. That's when the gunfire stopped. Silence fell, heavy, ominous. Then a voice from upstairs, amplified. Ramiro Lucius. I grow tired of this game. Send out the girl, and my men leave. Refuse, and we kill you all. You have 30 seconds to decide. Don't even think about it. I said immediately. Maria, I came back for you. I'm not letting you sacrifice yourself now. Better me than you. How about neither? Wesley suggested. We hold position, wait for backup. 20 seconds. Ramiro, please. I grabbed his hand. Don't do this. Don't give up. I'm not giving up. I'm choosing you. Before I could stop him, Ramiro stood, opened the basement door, and shouted, I'm coming out. Alone. Let my people leave, and you can have me. No. I tried to grab him, but Wesley held me back. Boss, don't. Take care of her. Ramiro looked at me one last time. I love you. That's why I'm doing this. He walked up the stairs. I heard him reach the top. Heard him say something in Russian. Heard Alexei laugh. Then I heard the sound I'd been dreading. A gunshot. Ramiro's body hitting the floor. I screamed, raw, visceral, inhuman. Wesley's grip on me loosened in shock, and I broke free, running up the stairs despite every logical part of my brain screaming not to. I burst into the main room to find Ramiro on the ground, Alexei standing over him, gun aimed at his head, and at least 12 armed men surrounding them. Ah! Alexei turned to me, smiling. The woman herself. How romantic! Rushing to die with your lover. Get away from him. My voice shook, but my gun didn't. You're going to shoot me? Surrounded by my men? Bold. Stupid but bold. I looked at Ramiro. He was bleeding from his shoulder, not dead, not yet, but hurt. His eyes met mine, and I saw everything in them. Love, regret, desperation. Let him go, I said. You wanted me. Here I am. Let him go. Interesting offer. Alexei moved toward me. But I think I'll take you both. Kill him in front of you. Make you watch. Really drive home what happens when people defy me. No. Wesley appeared behind me, along with. Gunfire erupted from outside. Ramiro's backup had arrived. The next 60 seconds were chaos. Wesley grabbed me, pulled me down as bullets flew. I heard Ramiro moving, fighting despite his injury. Heard Alexei shouting orders in Russian. Heard the sounds of war erupting in a suburban house. When the gunfire finally stopped, I lifted my head. Alexei's men were dead or fleeing. Ramiro's people had overwhelmed them. And Alexei himself was on his knees, Ramiro's gun pressed to his head. Give me one reason, Ramiro said, his voice absolutely cold. Why I shouldn't kill you right now. Because Alexei was breathing hard. Because killing me starts a war. My organization will hunt her forever. Or I kill you and negotiate with your successor, who's less of an egomaniac and might actually listen to reason. You can't. Ramiro pulled the trigger. I flinched as Alexei's body dropped. Silence fell. Ramiro turned to me, lowered his weapon. It's over. You killed him. I ended the threat. There's a difference. I ran to him, threw my arms around him despite the blood, despite everything. You were shot. You were almost. I'm Phoenix. You came back. Why did you come back? Because I love you. Because 3 days without you is unbearable. Because I'd rather die with you than live safely without you. Ramiro held me so tightly I could barely breathe. You're insane. So are you. We're perfect for each other. Wesley cleared his throat. Boss, we need to clean this up and get you medical attention. In a minute. Ramiro didn't let me go. Maria, I'm not sending you away again. I can't. But you need to understand what staying means. More danger. More violence. More nights like this. I know. I'm choosing it anyway. Then you're mine. Completely, permanently mine. I always was. We stood in the wreckage of the safe house, covered in blood and glass and the remnants of violence. And I'd never felt more certain of anything. This was home, not the location. Him. 6 months later, I woke up in yet another safe house to Ramiro making coffee. You're up early, I said, wrapping my arms around him from behind. Couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind. Well, talk about it. Always. You turn to my arms. Wesley confirmed it. Alexei's successor wants peace. No more hunting, no more threats. They're willing to recognize you're off limits in exchange for us staying out of their territory. My heart stuttered. Does that mean? It means you're safe. Actually, truly safe. Ramiro cupped my face. You could leave. Go back to normal. Be Maria Spencer again instead of whatever we've become. 6 months ago, I would have leapt at the chance. Now, in you, I'm still this. Still the head of a crime family. Still dangerous, still trapped in this life. His eyes searched mine. I'm offering you a choice, Maria. Real choice, not coerced survival. You can leave. I'll set you up with everything you need. Or you can stay, knowing exactly what that means. Why are you offering this now? Because 6 months ago, I took that choice away. You came back because you were threatened, because you were scared, not because you freely chose it. I need to know, if you had complete freedom, complete safety, everything, would you still choose me? I looked at this man who'd kidnapped me, protected me, loved me, and was now giving me the hardest choice I'd ever faced. You want the truth? Always. The truth is I spent 27 years safe. 27 years invisible, going through life without making waves or taking risks. And I was miserable, profoundly, achingly miserable. Maria, let me finish. These 6 months? They've been the most terrifying, dangerous, unstable months of my life. We've moved 7 times. I've watched you kill people. I've been shot at, threatened, hunted. By every logical measure, I should run as far from you as possible. But I've also never felt more alive, more seen, more like I matter. You look at me like I'm the most important thing in your world, and I look at you the same way. That's worth more than safe invisibility. Ramiro pulled me close. You're choosing danger. I'm choosing you. The danger comes with it, but you're what I'm actually choosing. I can't promise you safe, or normal, or any of the things you deserve. I don't want normal. Normal is lonely. I want this, complicated and dangerous and real. You could change your mind. I won't. But if it makes you feel better, ask me again in a year. In a year. And every year after that. Keep giving me the choice. Let me keep choosing you. Ramiro kissed me, deep, desperate, grateful. I love you. More than I thought I was capable of loving anything. I love you too, even though you literally kidnapped me. Especially because I literally kidnapped you. If I'd left you alone that night, I'd still be invisible Maria Spencer, living half a life. I pulled back to look at him. You woke me up, Ramiro. You made me feel seen for the first time ever. That's worth every risk. That afternoon, I did something I've been avoiding for 6 months. I called Isabella. She answered on the first ring. Oh my God, Maria, where the hell have you been? You disappeared after my engagement party. No calls, no messages. I thought you were dead. I'm sorry. I should have called sooner. It's complicated. Complicated how? Maria, I've been terrified. The police said there was no evidence of foul play, but also no trace of you. What happened? I looked at Ramiro, who nodded. He'd already prepared me for this conversation. I met someone at your party. It got intense. I had to leave my old life for safety reasons. Safety reasons? Maria, that sounds, are you okay? Is he hurting you? He's protecting me. Isabella, I know this sounds insane, but I'm happy. Happier than I've ever been. I just needed you to know I'm alive and okay. Can I see you? Not right now, but someday, when it's safer. Maria, Isabella's voice cracked. This doesn't sound like you. I know. The old me would never have done any of this. But the old me was also profoundly alone. This version? She's found something worth staying alive for. We talked for another 20 minutes, and I could hear the concern in Isabella's voice. But I could also hear acceptance. Her best friend had changed, whether she understood it or not. When I hung up, Ramiro asked, how do you feel? Lighter. Like I'm finally integrating both lives instead of pretending the old one doesn't exist. Do you miss it? The simplicity? Sometimes, but not enough to go back. 6 months became a year. A year became 2. We moved constantly, never staying anywhere long enough to feel settled, but always together. I learned the rhythms of Ramiro's world. The business meetings that were actually negotiations, the calls in the middle of the night, the times he'd come home covered in blood, and I'd ask no questions. I also learned the other side. The man who read architecture books at 2 a.m. when he couldn't sleep. Who made me coffee exactly how I liked it. Who held me like I was something precious despite the violence his hands were capable of. We were dangerous together. Probably toxic by normal standards. But we worked. Do you regret it? I asked one night, 2 years after that party. Taking me that night, Ramiro thought about it. I regret the circumstances. I regret that you didn't have a real choice. But do I regret that you're here now? That you're mine? Never. Good answer. It's the truth. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me, Maria. Even if the way I got you was wrong. I've been thinking about that. About consent and choice and all the complicated ethics of our beginning. I turn in his arms. And I've decided something. What's that? You took me. You didn't ask. You didn't give me options. You kidnapped me to save me. That was wrong. I know. But every day since then, I've woken up and chosen to stay. That's consent. That's the agency. You took away my initial choice, but I've made hundreds of choices since then to be here, to love you, to build this life. Those choices are mine, and they count. Ramiro's eyes were suspiciously wet. How are you real? I asked myself the same thing about you. The mafia boss who wanted to be an architect. The killer who makes me coffee. The man who's simultaneously the most dangerous and safest person I know. You make me better than I am. You make me braver than I was. We held each other as Chicago glittered beyond the windows. Two people who shouldn't work, but did anyway. 5 years after that party, Ramiro surprised me with a gift. Architectural drawings. For a museum. What's this? My thesis project. The one I never got to build. Ramiro spread out the drawings. I've been updating it, making it better. And I found a site, far from here, somewhere safe, where I could actually build it. You're going to build your museum? We're going to build it. I want your input, your vision, because this isn't just about architecture anymore. It's about creating something beautiful out of the life we've built. I looked at the drawings, stunning, thoughtful, a building designed to tell stories. It's perfect. It's ours. Like everything else. That night, looking at blueprints spread across the table, while Ramiro explained structural integrity and artistic vision, I realized something. I'd walked past a dangerous man in a red dress 5 years ago. He'd made good on his threat. But instead of destroying me, he'd given me everything I never knew I needed. Danger, yes, but also love, partnership, a life where I mattered. I was no longer invisible Maria Spencer. I was Maria who chose the mafia boss over safety. Maria who learned that being truly seen was worth any risk. Maria who discovered home wasn't a place, it was a person. Even when that person was the most dangerous man in Chicago. What are you smiling about? Ramiro asked. You. Us. The fact that this insane life somehow works. It works because you make it work. We make it work. Together. And sitting there surrounded by blueprints for a future we were building together, I'd never been more certain of anything. I'd walk past him in that dress. And I'd do it again. Every single time. And that is how Maria Spencer went from invisible data analyst to the chosen woman of Chicago's most dangerous mafia boss. She literally chose danger, love, and a life of constant risk over the safe invisibility she'd known her whole life. If you're not subscribed after this epic journey, I'm genuinely confused about what you're doing. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment. Would you have chosen Ramiro or chosen safety? Let me know. Thanks for watching this intense, emotional, absolutely wild love story.